I love the smell of the blossoms in spring. Hi and welcome to Great Getaways. On today's show, we're going to take you on a rural garden tour. What's a garden tour? It's over 50 private gardens scattered throughout Ontario's Bruce and Grey counties. We're going to be all over the place, as far south as Kincardine and Hanover, on over to Owen Sound, Wyerton, and all the way up to Tobermory at the tip of the Bruce Peninsula, where we'll discover some of the most incredible gardens that you've ever seen. First stop is at the Mount Pleasant Gardens located in Meaford, Ontario. Here we would meet our guide for this trip, Amanda Paulsner from the Grey County Tourism Association. Amanda, you brought us to another beautiful garden here this morning. Where exactly are we at?
Yeah, Tom, we're here in Meaford at Mount Pleasant Gardens, which is artistically landscaped, so I can't wait for Wilhelmina to take us on a tour. They are a garden that are part of Rural Gardens Grey Bruce, which is a membership base of enthusiastic gardeners who have collaboratively put together a brochure and map that includes all the gardens throughout Grey Bruce. So I'd love for us to take a tour on with Wilhelmina, and here she is now.
Oh, very good. Owner Wilhelmina Bowman is a native of Holland and immigrated to Ontario over 30 years ago. Now, coming from Holland, she knew quite a bit about what a garden should look like. So just different varieties that you have in here. They're all hardy enough to handle the winters up here?
No, they are hardy enough.
Okay.
Because slowly but surely I've replaced them with the stronger ones.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, roses take a lot of care. Is this true?
This is true. They need a lot of water, and of course we have had summers when we don't have a lot of water. But the last two we have oodles of water. As you can see now, today even it rained again. So yeah, they look very, very, very nice at the moment.
If we come up on the hill here, I notice you have some wheelbarrows that go along here. What have we got going on?
Now the wheelbarrows is a new idea. This year the first time. It's to connect the rose garden with the garden over there, because this is such a big green expanse, I guess. So yeah, and people like it. That we call the barn garden. That is about 5 years old. We only used it at first to dump stuff. So the weeds and the shrub this high is an incredible amount of work. But after I saw the wall of the stones, that is so beautiful. All these big, big stones. And in the beginning I thought, oh, it's so difficult here with these hot, hot summers. And in Holland, of course, we have a lot of rain. And it seems now everything grew just like that. But now I've learned to deal with this climate, and I enjoy it very much. I enjoy the summers incredibly much. So a lot of swimming in Georgian Bay there, as you can just see.
Well, you've got a beautiful sight here as you stand on the property. Not only have you got the gardens, but we've got the Niagara Escarpment in the background here going along the Georgian Bay. So just a beautiful spot to come out here. You can come in, pick her brain a little bit. When you go home, you can plant some of the gardens for yourself and come up with an area just like this. Thank you, Wilhelmina. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Arriving at Carpe Diem, I would sit down with owner Jane Dreiska in the middle of the beautiful gardens to learn more about her labor of love. Well, Jane, this is a beautiful spot that you have here in your gardens. And this is something now you've been working towards for quite a few years. How long has it been here?
20 years.
Okay, and how did it all get started?
I didn't think I would like gardening because as a child we had to vegetable garden, and you had no choice. And then my dad died when we were negotiating for this farm, and my mother didn't garden, so I picked up his whole garden and just brought it here because there was nothing here. And then I just started year by year, and it just grew. And the rest of the things mostly came from friends. They helped donate when I had nothing, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then I decided I liked being at home, so I could try a business at home, and that's how it got started.
Okay, and as you know, we're coming here because it's one of the gardens that you can tour here in the Grey Bruce. And tell us a little bit, though, about when people get here, what all are they going to see?
They're going to see mostly perennials, a few hundred varieties, and there's always something in bloom. I do have a lot of annuals, but they are the ones that self-seed, so they just appear year after year. They're going to see some art in the garden and different arbors, but there is always something to look at.
Just an experience they can enjoy coming in and walking through then, very relaxed atmosphere. And you can come out here and you can sit down just like we're doing now. And you've got a little gift shop in there that
Yes,
you use too?
I paint floor cloths, and that's where I wrap the flowers that I sell. Or if I'm getting ready for a wedding, I will make the bouquets up in there. Yeah, things like that.
Okay, so people can actually come here then and pick flowers?
They can pick their own flowers if they want to, or they can just buy a bouquet already cut. And I sell the plants out of the garden, like the perennials.
Okay.
I just dig them up, and especially in Irish time, that's nice because they can see exactly what color they're going to get, and it doesn't hurt them any.
Now that has been very informative and of course colorful. It was time for lunch, and when you're traveling through Grey County, there's always a unique place to have lunch that includes delicious food. Today we'll stop at the Mill Restaurant located right on the Beaver River. Well, Amanda, one of the nice things about coming to Grey County is all the restaurants that you take us to. We've got some great places, and you brought us to another unique one today. Tell us where we're at and something about the restaurant here.
Certainly, definitely, Tom. After us touring some of the rural gardens that we have in the area, I thought we should come and look at the menu here at Mill with some of the local food products they're using. So here's Oliver here, and the chef of the restaurant, and I'm hoping that he can speak to some of the products on the menu.
Okay, the master chef here, and Oliver, I understand that you have quite a menu here, and you're doing it in a rather unique way and using a lot of the foods that come from the area. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you did this?
Yeah, I mean, I like to definitely support as many local purveyors as I can in the area. We've set up the menu a little bit differently. Instead of having I guess traditional appetizers and entrees, we've broken it down into small, medium and large. So it gives, and then we have sides and snacks, so I think it gives a little bit more diversity. It allows you to taste a little bit more of the menu and not be committed to, say, just an entree.
After a hearty lunch, it was back to our tour and our last garden of the day, Memory Gardens. Located in Owen Sound, right on the river, it offers everything from a place to stay to, surprisingly, kayaking on the river. The gardens are named after Jane Chamberlain's late husband and offers not only beautiful gardens to tour, but also a charming B&B. We're right in the town of Owen Sound right now, and the reason I like this garden is because it's right in a neighborhood. We're not out on vast acreage or out on some farm somewhere. We're right in a neighborhood where you can do gardens yourself and garden all around your home. I'm with Jan Chamberlain right now, and we're at the Memory Garden Retreat.
Now we mostly have one thing after another, and we mulch with our compost that we make from all the toppings and everything from the house. And that's there's no chemical on it, so you'd say I'm organic for sure. The garden's your friend. You come out and you visit it. And I'm really pleased to have the name Memory Garden as part of it, and Memory Garden Retreat. People pick up the brochure. It's self-guided. They can go and visit. Some of them they do need to make an appointment to see the gardeners, and others it's by chance.
Is it easy for people to find all these gardens?
It is, and it's easy to find all these gardens thanks to the Rural Garden Grey Bruce members, because they've collaboratively put together this nice brochure and map.
Okay, if they're coming up on a garden, how are they going to spot it?
Well, they'll spot it by this nice signia right here, the daisy.
Yep.
The daisy.
Okay, this is something we'll find out front then.
Yes.
When they're coming up?
Every place.
Well, I know I like it. I like the way that you can come here and stay too, because I know that makes it so nice for people that are out here doing the tour. They need a place to stay.
Yeah.
They have one here right in one of the gardens, so it's a great place to be. Don't forget to make this one of your stops. After a wonderful day of touring the lovely and tranquil gardens of Grey, we had an offer to wind down at the Scandinave Spa. Located in South Georgian Bay, it's only minutes from downtown Collingwood and the world-famous Blue Mountain Resort. I found the spa to not only be relaxing to my body, but also my soul, as I looked into the beautiful Niagara escarpment that surrounded this unique spa.
The idea here is to offer a very unique spa experience where we invite our guests to enjoy nature and relaxation in the Scandinavian baths. It is not an aesthetic spa at all. We offer registered massage treatments, but really the focus and uniqueness of the experience is the Scandinavian baths. We have basically created a series of hot baths and cold plunges. We have a Finnish sauna and a Norwegian steam bath that people cycle through, our guests cycle through. The idea is to warm up your body into one of the heated environments for about 10-15 minutes, opening the pores of your skin, starting that relaxation process, and then plunging into cold water, whether it is one of the waterfalls behind me like this, or going into one of the cold showers, which is an indoor experience. After you do that, which could be a 2-second to a 2-minute plunge in the cold, the idea is to then bring your heart rate back down to a resting level and go into one of our solariums. In the summertime, you'll find that a lot of people sit outside. We've got hammocks and Muskoka chairs.
On day 2, we will say goodbye to Amanda and meet up with our old friends Chris Hughes and Jamie Everett of Bruce County Tourism at the ppelcroft Farm and Garden. Bill Looney is the guiding garden spirit at the ppelcroft Gardens. He's a self-taught gardener whose interest, he readily confesses, became a hobby, which in turn became a passion and then an obsession. Bill grew up in New Zealand where his parents kept an extensive garden. Well, Bill, the gardens here at ppelcroft are just beautiful, and they're so unique because of the area that you're in. People come in, and the first thing you got is a nice welcome sign and a trellis there, and you walk in, and even that's just a beautiful garden. You actually have quite a few around. Maybe you could explain how many there are and what the differences are.
Well, first of all, to us it's just home. It just seems the gardens just grew, and as my enthusiasms change, the gardens change, and I build a new one and continue on. The problem is trying to maintain the old one. But when you enter, there's just some rockeries down there at the front, and the old vegetable garden, which is pretty well gone now. And we have a surprise garden up there, which is a little bit of a formal garden. And this used to be the sheep pasture.
Oh, no kidding.
And as you see, we've got a bit of a hill for a rockery here. And the gardens just keep on going and going. And I don't know how long the enthusiasm is going to last.
Well, you've put a lot into this, and it's actually a little farm here. You've got animals here along with your gardens, and you've got some pretty unique things about it.
Well, it was just an old farm, about 76 acres, and you know, if you're a farmer, you can't make any money from 76 acres. So we decided to do something a little different. A few gardens, nature trails, a little hobby farm.
Do you get a lot of people that just like to come in here and just actually sit down and enjoy it?
Well, that is what I hope. That's what I really like to see, is people coming and sitting and using the swings and just enjoying themselves. You know, if someone rushes in and goes through the place in 15 minutes and rushes out, I wonder, well, what do you really want in a garden? Some people come and they spend hours just looking around, taking their time, seeing the different plants, and I think everybody enjoys it because everything here is something they could do themselves.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the Rural Garden Tour of Grey Bruce counties lends itself to a number of scenic drives along the Georgian Bay, which is framed by the Niagara Escarpment. It forms the backdrop to the Grey Bruce Rural Garden Tour. Well, Chris, we're now in the Bruce Peninsula. We've worked our way up a little bit into the peninsula now. In fact, we're kind of back in the middle of nowhere. Why don't you tell us where we're at?
Yeah, we're at Larkwhistle Gardens, and we're just outside of Dyers Bay on Georgian Bay. So this is a really great garden for those enthusiasts who are really into gardening. Patrick and John are the experts, probably one of the leading experts in all of Canada in terms of garden expertise. They've written numerous books. They do numerous appearances, speaking engagements, and they're really skilled at what they do because the conditions here, believe it or not, aren't ideal for what they do here. So they've really had to adapt and to grow with what they've been given.
The philosophy really is to grow a good garden organically and to show that it can be done. Part of what we have to do every year is keep enriching the soil.
Right.
We just add compost, horse manure, and leaves, till it all in. Keep doing that, and it'll grow anything.
And you guys, I'm just noticing, let's just slip over here. You guys have lots of vegetables, so it's very utilitarian mixed in with the, with the flowers.
Larkwhistle started as a vegetable garden. That was our intention. In fact, when we landed here like 30 odd years ago, we didn't know a thing about growing flowers. We were interested in growing vegetables, and we started with that, and then we began to make the flower beds, and taught ourselves, read some old books, and just tried everything.
Yeah.
See what works here. It's an interesting climate here because we can grow things on the peninsula that can't be grown further south. The snow comes early, stays right till April. Often the ground doesn't even freeze. So there are perennials that will survive here that won't in what is called a warmer zone. So we're self-taught right here, and I try and write from experience. I think it's probably the best way. You can give people good guidance, things to avoid, things to do. And so we have 4 books, 2 on perennials, 1 on herbs. We did a kitchen garden book on organic vegetable growing, and I write quite a bit for Canadian Gardening magazine that way.
When we ask Earthbound owner Brenda Sutherland what is important to you about your garden, the answer was a passionate one. The sights, the sounds, taste, solitude, and peace found at various times on any given day. And so we would spend some time touring the gardens with Brenda.
Basically, we invite the public to come here as a destination spot while they're touring the peninsula and see gardens at their most mature levels and learn a little bit more about native species and enjoy a beautiful setting, as well as workshops and concerts on Sunday. Actually, we have music concerts as well.
What's the advantage to having the greenhouse part of it here too?
Accessibility, knowledge, because we grow what we have in our gardens. We can speak to its value, its size. When you buy something pretty in a pot, sometimes you're not really aware of what it's going to do later. And it's good to see that tiny little thing might be 6 feet by 6 feet in 3-4 years' time. So we can certainly warn people or encourage them to realize that in a few years, with patience, it will become that. Also, because we grow it here, it's hardier. Definitely acclimatized to growing in this area, can do zones further south as well or further north. And I think the wealth of knowledge that we offer with the plant just makes sense to a lot of people who visit. So what we have here then is a mixture of dwarf and tall lilies. Every lily has a different bloom time. So Asiatic dwarf lilies start first, and that's what you see right now on this side. They always stay short, and then you move into tall Asiatics with no smell, into oriental ones like Stargazer and Casablanca. Those are orientals, and from there that would be early August, and then by mid-August you're into species lilies, and by late August, early September you're into something called rubrum, which blooms even in shade and will bloom right through September. So we do carry about 15 to 18 different species types of lilies, 18,000 in all, and that's why they call us the Lily Ladies.
As we were finishing our tour, Brenda pointed out a unique addition to her gardens, a blue frog. The Rural Garden Tour of Gray and Bruce will give you all kinds of ideas for creating your own distinctive garden at home. Landscaping your property is a form of gardening, so we decided to visit Brian Fulmer's landscaping company. This property features waterfall tours, wetlands, and hardwood forests in addition to the gardens. Brian wants visitors to imagine what various plants would look like in their own yards. Brian likes to mix trees and plants with bright flowers for a colorful view through the seasons. He uses the lawn as an element of design instead of treating it like leftover space as most of us would. And he uses layers of trees to create a sound barrier between the property and the busy road nearby. He demonstrates how to create beauty in an area you might consider a trouble spot. The plants here are very rugged and tolerant to drought, proving you don't need lots of water to have a stunning garden. Evergreens and ornamental grasses round out the garden. Brian Fulmer will really inspire you to create an attractive garden in your own yard. Well, Brian, one of the things you're kind of known for having a few oddities in your garden here that you have. What are some of them?
Yeah, we like to have the things that aren't common, like to push our boundaries. We saw the palm tree, which is really pushing the zone. We have a variegated tulip tree, which is a version of our native species. It's very rare, hard to get. We have weeping blue Atlas cedar, which is not hardy here. It's a zone 7. We have just a few things that we put them in the right spot. They're sheltered from the wind. They get a lot of snow cover.
Well, you certainly have a wide variety of things. Talk about some of the gardens that you do have here.
Okay, well, we have some themed gardens. We have a circle maze, which is basically a maze in circular form, so it's hard to get out of. And we have formal rose gardens. We have a labyrinth, which has a few false starts, but it's basically a winding trail, and you go back and forth. You start at the entrance to the property, and it takes you down to the pond and gazebo. And in amongst them, we have meandering gardens. We have a lot of roses, alpines. We have a natural rock garden on a cliff face. When I moved in, I was really fortunate to have a property that had a lot of natural features.
So basically anybody that comes in here can probably find something that would work around their home.
Oh yes, yeah. We have a lot of different soil types on the property. It's 108 acres, so.
As our day was winding down, Jamie had one more stop that not only included beautiful gardens, but dinner cooked over an open fire. It was on the grounds of the Saugeen First Nation. It was part of their traditional feast and storytelling. Our meal started with fresh whitefish, lightly seasoned and cooked to perfection over an open fire right in front of us. Plated with white potatoes, sautéed with wild leeks, accompanied by juicy sweet corn and oven-baked Indian bread called bannock. Dessert was a medley of fresh fruit topped with whipped cream. Even our drink was native brewed traditional cedar tea, flavored with wild ginger syrup. After the feast, everyone gathers around the stage area in a small amphitheater to hear stories and legends from the renowned storyteller Priscilla Yellowhead Toby. The Saugeen First Nation is located at the base of the Bruce Peninsula. The Saugeen First Nation is the site of one of the most breathtaking beautiful gardens in Ontario, and every August the community also hosts an impressive annual competition powwow. The Saugeen Amphitheater, located on Highway 21, consists of 20 acres of stone and terrace gardens overlooking the rapids of the Saugeen River. This unique outdoor amphitheater is comprised of wide stone stairs, lookout points, nature trails, and thousands of brilliant annual and perennial flowers. The magnificence of the Saugeen Amphitheater was the dream and vision of the late Reverend Earl Stoltzberry. Years of hard work and devotion went into the construction of the amphitheater. The manual labor and technical expertise was supplied by the Saugeen First Nation. This was a labor of love by both parties. The Saugeen First Nation has erected a plaque in recognition of the years of dedication and service from the Reverend Stoltzberry. Today, the gardens are a very popular setting for summer weddings and wedding pictures. Our last stop on the garden tour is in the small town of Kincardine, and the Labyrinth Peace Gardens is located in the heart of Kincardine at Geddes Environmental Park. Betty Collin, a local artisan, first encountered a labyrinth in Sedona, Arizona while on a photo shoot for her artwork in the fall of 2000. On the plane trip home, she reminisced on the experience and what a profound effect it had on her. It was then she decided that this was a must for Kincardine. This labyrinth, known as a chalice design, has sculptured gardens and paths based on the classical labyrinth pattern, similar to the design in the one in the cathedral at Chartres, France. It all began when several Kincardine residents, having had the opportunity to walk labyrinths on separate occasions around the globe, were compelled to see a labyrinth in their own town. Collectively, they began a group known as Friends of the Labyrinth Peace Gardens. With much enthusiasm, commitment, and hard work, the labyrinth was realized. The flowers that border the paths of the Labyrinth Peace Gardens emerge in a rainbow of color, evoking subtle energies that quiet the mind and allow the inner wisdom to be heard. This meditative walk to the center and back out is a metaphor of life's journey to inner peace. By finding peace within, we obtain peace without, not only in our lives, but in the world too. Today, this ancient medieval tool is making a renaissance all over the world. Once again, you'll find labyrinths in churches, universities, private gardens, indeed almost anywhere. Well, I hope you enjoyed our tour of Grey Bruce counties and the beautiful gardens that are up here.